Ladies and gentlemen, I need to offer you my sincerest apologies for my lateness. I have no excuse for why I am late, why I am 12 minutes late for this session. I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you. I've been playing Frontiers of Pandora all this morning and I can't stop. So I apologize for that. My sincerest apologies, but yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here. Welcome to not only the reflections of December, in which I reflect on the chapters we get of One Piece in a month at the end of the month, but this is also, I want to say, part of me wants to say my last big stream, unless I play Frontiers of Pandora later on. One of my, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna play Avatar. I want to play Avatar later. But this is also my last thing of One Piece for the year, and I need to say that we've had a absolutely phenomenal year for One Piece with these last several chapters, which involved the flashback of King Harald, Loki, and of course Roxy Zebek himself, being some of the best flashback chapters we've had since Kuma's backstory. And not only did we get so many good things revealed during these flashbacks, we got the entirety. Water. I knew it was gonna happen. Almost dropped the cap. Not only did we get the entirety of the God Valley incident, we found out every single person involved, the stakes of the battle, why the God Valley incident occurred, everything dealing with it. And now that we're done with Rox's side of the story, we're dealing with Harald and his inability to see that the world government is an evil organization. So we only got 2 official chapters of One Piece. Yes, I know there's a 1170 out there floating, but we don't deal in early scans from Japan. We deal in only the official English release here in America. At least those of us who are patient, but we only got 2 chapters in this entire month. Chapters 1168 and 1169. The first one was The Snows of Elbaf. And in this chapter, we essentially had Harald returning. Well, basically, not just Harald returning, but the exploits of the giants have reached the ears of the people, and specifically the giants who were enlisted in the Navy. They are setting a good image for the giants, and people are actually happy to hear that giants are in the Navy, and it's all like, oh, I thought they used to be scary, but now I think they're fine. Now I wish I want to meet one day. And then people are talking like, is there any way to get more shipped here? Folks can't get enough of that Elbaf seafood. And people want to get more and more from Elbaf because of the good exploits of the giants who are in the Navy. And then there's some pirates who are going, good Elbaf cider, it's quality stuff, too bad it's hard to ship. And mind you, this is the Elbaf wood, like basically from the trees of Elbaf. This is how people were stealing it and getting their hands on it outside of Elbaf. Some pirates are selling the wood itself. And in Elbaf in the New World, Harald is saying, I think, and once our dream of being part of the world government comes true, that doesn't scream foreshadowing anywhere. I think we should build a cruise ship so we can travel freely to our fellow nations. To the rest of the world, we are just a very curious minority. There are so many different peoples in many different countries. They each have cultures worthy of respect, and as we come into contact with them, Elbaf will gain more friends and more wisdom. And of course, everyone is just cheering because they're behind Harald. He's been on this kick of Elbaf being a peaceful nation for many, many decades now. 4 giant decades is literally a blink of an eye. We're almost there, my countrymen. Our future is bright. And then some giants are all like, guess the warrior business is dead. I will see it through, Ida. Now, we get to the walrus school that Harald wanted Saul to be involved in building for the children, and he sees the children playing, with him talking to Saul, going, this is thanks to you, Saul. And Saul says a lot more healthy in kids swinging swords. Dere she. Don't Don't it scare you thinking about what you're losing, Harold? And mind you, Saul is being kind of like, I want to say, the one that says, are you sure you're fine with losing what has built up this entire nation? Are you sure you want to eradicate it completely? And Harold says, I no longer think of military might as our national strength. Unfortunately, Harold is the only person who thinks that. The ones who want his nation think otherwise. Ida taught me everything I know, and the fact that I met her is my lifelong treasure. And mind you, this is back in the day. This is showing the present time, and Ida has already passed. So we get a flashback of him speaking to Ida, with her going, children studying hard, bright and cheerful laughter. It's like a different country completely. Old practices, strange customs. We ought to throw out all the bad habits of our warrior past. He does not realize that this is just spelling more and more doom for his nation. Really, but I like warrior's pride. I think it's cool. You ought to treasure your culture. My nose better not be bleeding. I have to double check. You can never be too careful. Give me a sec. Guys can't hear me. Sorry. But Harold is speaking to Ida, and Ida is basically saying, I like your warrior's pride. Why would you want to get rid of that? You ought to treasure your culture. And Harold says, well, what about the fact that you and I weren't allowed to marry? I've never gotten over that. And Ida's laughing while she's still coughing because of the poison that she was given. You told them you wanted to make me your true wife, didn't you? That's so sweet of you. You're my big sweetie. What about Loki? He'll be Harudin's little brother. How's that? To me, that's what he's always been. Just hearing that from you will keep me fed for months. But really, I don't mind. You're everyone's king, Harold, not just mine. We're almost there, aren't we? That's right, Ida. Very soon we'll be connected to the rest of the world, and our world will grow to be millions of times larger than before. Then we'll do what we used to do. And go traveling all over. And Ida, with one final smile on her face, she goes, that sounds fantastic. I can't wait. And Harold goes, neither can I. And she squeezes his hand one final time before it falls. And then she dies. And then Harold walks out with Harudin running in there to go check on his mom. And of course, all of the New Giant Warrior pirates are there as well. You got Goldberg, we got Gerd, we got Stanzen, we got Rodel. Not only that, but we also have Ripley there, along with Colin and Scopper Gavin. I didn't make note of this when I saw it earlier on because I was just making note of what Harald was doing and Harudin. And I noticed that the New Giant Warrior pirates were there as well, but I didn't bring too much attention to it. But yeah, Ripley's there along with Gavin and Colin. And Harudin is in there yelling for his mom while we have Mato. She's in there as well, and she's crying. And we have Rodo in the background. Harudin, Harald is crying on his own and, sobbing on his own. And then Loki is in a jail cell because of what he did to the Brewer village. He's just holding his helmet down. Yeah, he's just holding his helmet down over his eyes, over his constantly bandaged eyes. So, after this, we cut to Marijois. And the whole matter of Shanks going missing is brought up. And apparently, once his current mission, Shanks has gone missing, and the Godosei are speaking to Harald. And once his current mission was complete, he was on track to be a full-fledged knight. As his backup, this means you have a golden opportunity. Will you take it? So instead of it being Shanks who gets given a new bout of, gets given an upgrade to his tier that he's on, to like a tier 2, like a tier 2 sub. Only you don't get any benefits with this, because you wind up being, well, you find out. But instead of Shanks getting the next, promotion, it's Harald who gets the promotion. But Harald, without thinking, and we've been saying this ever since he kept saying he wants to be a part of the world government, and this is back when Rox was still alive, and he kept trying to warn Harald. Harald is just so gung-ho, so eager, so naively narrow-focused on joining the world government. So he yells, "Of course, I want to join the Knights of God. That it means that Elbaf will be allowed to join the government." And I'm just there. I'm just like, I have never been so. I've never wanted to slap a person and make them see reason. So he just blindly goes, "Yeah, I want to do this so that way Elbaf can join the world government." He's not seeing that, he's ignoring all the problems. The same way Sengoku said, is like, there's so many people in the Navy, you can't keep an eye on everything. So I just learned to turn a blind eye to that which I can't immediately get to. So with Harald, it's like, I know they do bad stuff, but I want my nation to be recognized by the world. And if I have to do all of this dumb stuff that makes me look like an idiot, and just ignore the consequences, then yes, I'll do it. So he starts following the Gorosei, who look all dressed up, the same way they get all dressed up when they go to see Imu. And Ethan Barron says, "Congratulations, the Great One trusts you." And then Jupiter says, "What a long haul it's been." And then Warkery goes, "And now you will be known as the king who changed Elbaf's history forever." And then Harald is just so eager, he's still talking, going, "Actually, on the day that Elbaf is entered into the world government, I plan to abdicate the throne. Someone younger and pure deserves to be our new king." And Jupiter's just looking at him like, "You think we're gonna allow you to do that? No. Because remember, Imu said that there's no king who is more gullible and more willing to be a puppet than Harald. So there's no way that Harald is just gonna, give up his throne and therefore give up the power that they want to later take for themselves. Of course, things get much worse. But when they get to the throne, Imu is already in there sitting on the empty throne going, "That is for Mu to decide." Meaning that Harald doesn't have a say in the matter if he wants to, abdicate his throne and leave. Imu is saying like that is for Mu to decide. That is for Mu to decide whether you leave or not. And then Harald sees someone sitting on the empty throne, which is apparently, to his knowledge, supposed to be empty. And then Imu speaks, going, "Come closer. I have been watching thee, Harald." And then there's a gigantic screaming that echoes throughout all of Marijois as Harald is giving a brand new covenant band. And it looks like it's been, forcibly seared into his flesh, because we don't know the specifics of how covenants work, nor what happens in the process of the covenant getting branded onto the person. We don't know if it's painful. Well, we didn't know if it was painful, but apparently it is, because a bunch of smoke is emanating from where Harald was given the covenant, and also it's showing this sizzling type sensation and look that's directly on his arm. And it is hissing, so that means that it was painful to be, branded on him. This strength, it's rippling through me, it's almost frightening. And then we get Mars speaking, and now he is immortal. Pay attention to that. Harald is now immortal. Then Mercury, it chills the spine. And then Ethan Baron, he is more than a monster. At this point, he's a weapon. So they already, beforehand, they didn't even see him as an individual. Now, because he's been branded as a Knight of God, he is officially seen as just a tool. This branding marked him as a tool from this point onwards. He's just a tool that can talk. And then Imu speaks. Now, at long last, thou art an undying knight in service to Mu. Undying, it still doesn't feel real. Thou wilt create an abyss on Elbaf. That will be thy bond to us. And when thou hast completed thy final duty after that, thy wish will be granted. Elbaf will be welcome among the world government's member nations. And Harald leaves with a big old dumb, stupid, oblivious smile on his face, thinking, oh, my hard work has finally paid off. Elbaf will be seen as it will be welcomed into the world government, and then be seen amongst all the other nations as a fellow member. Not realizing you literally just made a deal with the devil. And considering what Imu can do to other people, that analogy is not even remotely far-fetched at all. So Harald just blindly goes home and is happy blindly believing the words of Imu and that nothing bad could ever happen at all. We get to Aurus Castle, and right in the throne room, he's created an abyss circle directly in the throne room. So that also explains how Shamrock and Gunko were able to get inside of Aurus Castle without anyone knowing. It's because of the abyss circle that Harald put there beforehand. And then Harald is sitting there as Imu's is communicating telepathically to him, going, "What did you just say? Yo!" It is such a shame that I gotta go to a channel in order to see a person's actual name and not just the handle, because I can't stand that. Welcome. We are going over the chapters that we got in December. Hello to you as well. I did not, and it's only chapters 1168 and 1169 because we only operate from official English releases, which means that this upcoming Sunday we'll get 1170. So I don't do early scans or anything. I'm just letting you know ahead of time that I'm only going over 68 and 69, 1168 and 1169 of what we got in December. So I did not read the newest chapter because I don't read early. I read when the chapters release officially. I'm just letting you know ahead of time. But we're still only on 1168. And Imu is, because I always go over the chapters we get within a full month, if you didn't already know, if this is your first time here. But we're just going over this chapter about how oblivious Harald has been towards trying to join the world government and not seeing because there have been multiple red flags over the course of this flashback. Over the course of this entire flashback, that the world government was not worthy of his time and it was a bad idea to join them. And now in this chapter, this is when Harald realizes that all those warnings that Rox tried to give him, All the warnings that we tried to give him. All the warning signs that he literally was present for. Now he gets to realize that maybe this wasn't such a good idea in the first place. So, we're here in the castle after he's already created the Abyss Circle, and Emu's communicating, going, use thy entire country to form an army of warriors. Mind you, this is already going at odds with the entire deal that Harald has been trying to do in creating a peaceful nation. Let me put the warriors way behind us. We just want to be a peaceful nation that can be accepted by the rest of the world. And now Emu, who has already blessed him, I'd say it's a curse, who has already, you know what, I'm just going to stick with it. It's not a blessing, it's a curse. Who's cursed him with immortality and even more strength. And now the first thing that Emu wants Harald to do is to create use the entire nation to form an entire army of warriors. Thou wilt build a giant fleet to rival the navy and act for the benefit of the world. That is why. And before Emu can finish, Harald's all like, "Hey, wait, hold up, full stop. I've been doing all of this to help Elbaf escape the cycle of fighting. Of course, I've always intended to allow those who wish to enlist in the Navy to do so, but not like this." And of course, since he's communicating telepathically to Emu, all of his other guards inside of the castle are looking at him like, brother, you know who he's talking to? I've no idea. Then Emu goes, thou saidst history would be atoned for. Thou saidst thou wouldst be a slave. Yes, but only myself. History is not so light that it can be shouldered by thee alone. Do not speak back. Thou canst not disobey Mu. Those who have accepted the Depths Covenant, which is the second tier, are given immortality and strength, but must obey orders in return. Think what thou wilt. I will have my way. And thus, Harald starts moving on his own, having no control over his body, until he starts to realize that, I can't stop. I'm being controlled and Elbaf with me. There was never any intent to bring us into the circle of the world. Darn you, Emu. And then Harald calls all of his guards to him. Guards, to arms! Were you planning to make the warriors of Elbaf your slaves? And then the guards come in with going, what is it, your majesty? Is someone in here? Bring chains. Tie me to this pillar. Huh? Act quickly. Call Chief Jarl and my sons. I'm pretty sure Harudin is at sea right now. And Prince Loki is still in a cell for that thing he did. I can't resist. I so want to do Harald's voice right now. I can't resist. What's the matter, your majesty? Just release him. And then we get to the underworld holding cells, which means he's literally in the underworld right now. And Loki's just chilling. He's eating and he's drinking. Report to Aura's castle immediately. The king calls for you. And then we get to Jarl's house, where he gets summoned as well. Urgently? Just a moment, what could it be? And then we have narration that pretty much leads into what is going to give us the fatal moment, what is going to lead us to the fatal moment of Harald's death. And the next chapter doesn't show it, but it does paint the picture and lead us towards it. But now, let us return to the story. On this day, there was a terrible massacre inside the castle, and the most beloved ruler in the history of Elbaf, wise King Harald, perished. So, from this chapter, it pretty much put into perspective what all of us thought the moment Harald said, I wanted to join the world government. We've been in this story deep enough to know that the world government is not a good place at all. It is literally the worst place to be affiliated with. Of course, not every nation realizes this, but in Harald's case, we've warned him, and people, even rocks, who Harald considers one of his best friends, tried to tell him that the world government just wants your strength. They want to use you. He literally was the one who was just so blunt with it, saying like, it's a bad idea. This world government's not long for this world, and they just want to use you and abuse you. They want your power. They want everything that's to deal with you right now. They want to take advantage of you. Rox literally said this to him verbatim, unfiltered, and Harald says, yeah, but I want to join it so that way my country can be free of the sins of our past. And it's like, did you not hear what this man just said? He just said the world government wants to take advantage of you, to use you, not in a good way, but for themselves. And all Harald could think of was, even so, I still want to be a part. It's like, did you not hear what he just said? They want to, see, I don't know what it is with people when they hear that people that they want to become a part of are only in it for themselves. They don't care about you. They don't care about your nation. They just want to use you. And the other person is hearing you, not listening, because hearing and listening are two different things. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit irate here. But when it comes to Harald, I just get so angry. Hearing and listening are two different things. All he hears is the potential peace, not the guaranteed peace, the potential peace that become affiliated with the world government could bring his nation. But he's not listening to the facts. He's not paying attention to the facts. He's ignoring the facts. He was there when the nations that weren't affiliated with the world government helped save his country from famine and literally the extinction of his race. He saw when these same people were taken prisoner by the world government, saying that those who are unaffiliated with the world government are less than human. They have no rights. And in my head, I'm just thinking, you want to be affiliated and join with an organization that says those who aren't joined with them have no rights. And after seeing them, mind you, he did attack the world government ship that tried to take those people. He attacked them, and it only just made the world view him even less. And even then, after witnessing just how bad it was, he still wanted to join this organization as if the evil that he saw beforehand was just nothing to be bothered by. So now, after he's officially become linked to not only the Gorosei, but also the Knights of Imu, inexplicably linked, now he's starting to realize, after all these years, now, after sending members of the Giant race over to the Navy to become big names, such as the Giant Squad at Marineford, or John Giant, or Vice Admiral Lauds. Now, after witnessing the strength of what this covenant brought him, after finding out that those who get a Depths Covenant can gain immortality and boundless strength, but cannot disobey Imu at all, regardless of the request, only now does he realize this wasn't a bad idea. Well, this wasn't a good idea. This was a bad idea. Yeah, I said this wasn't a bad idea. Only now does he realize that this was a bad idea. Only now, when he loses control of his body, does he realize, we should not have made this bargain. This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them. We should not have made this bargain. You darn Skippy, you shouldn't have. People warn you. These are the dangers of ignoring what's in front of you and only seeing what you want to see. Having tunnel vision. Not taking every single precaution. Not thinking of every single personal avenue of what you're trying to do. This is the dangers of it. Harald is a life lesson It is a story on why you should be careful with every major decision you make, especially if you lead a nation. A cautionary tale, if you will. Thinking that the world government will keep their word. You're an idiot for just thinking that without reason. If I do all this, if I do all that, literally trying to white knight for the world government just so he could join them, thinking that they would treat him with any semblance of respect. And all they've done is just say exactly what he wanted to hear. Giving him honeyed word after honeyed word, just dragging him along. Harold is literally James Woods from Family Guy, stuck picking up pieces of candy until he gets trapped in a box by Peter. Ooh, piece of candy. 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 Not seeing the problems on the outside. People have warned him, and he's ignored it. He's seen the examples of how bad the world government can be, and he's ignored it. What's going on, Graham Talk? Good to see you. We are discussing chapters 1168 and 1169 of One Piece. Oh, perfect timing. Family's calling in. Give me a sec. Sorry about that, everybody. Let me see. But yeah, going back to what what I was talking about, Harold wasn't naive, in my opinion. He just lived a life of causing too much damage onto others and regrets it. That he's focused more on showing the world they're not a threat and are welcoming of humanity than focusing on protecting his people from the dangers humanity brings. But I kind of have to still stick with my opinion of him being naive, because when they say, oh, sure, you'll become a part of the world government, after witnessing the heinous stuff that they did in front of him, he doesn't even have a smidgen of reservation as to whether or not this is a good idea. And he's just going headfirst and doing whatever he can to make himself seem good in their eyes, just to join with the world government in order for the Elbaf itself to be accepted by them, so that the world can accept them. And this was before he got here. He ignored the fact that the people who helped him were basically taken prisoner and treated like they have no rights. Literally told that they have no rights. Then the world government said that, oh, if you want to join with the world government, kill rocks. Literally your friend. Go ahead and kill them. Now, mind you, he couldn't bring himself to do it. They clashed with each other and he just let rocks get away. But the fact that he kind of almost entertained the idea of killing his friend just for Elbaf to join with them. Yeah, but that's not naivete, that's denial. So is he okay, so here's my thing though. Is he denying the heinous stuff that they're doing and how shady the world government is, when he gets the covenant, the Depths Covenant, and he's all like, oh, does this mean that we get to join with the rest of the world? After seeing Emu. Like, if I go back, when he's walking with them, hold on, which one was it? Yeah. When Emu is speaking to Harold, sorry, I put chat off to the side there. I don't know why I turned it off. But when Emu is speaking to Harold, going, and now at long last thou art an undying knight in service to Mu, thou wilt create an abyss on Elbaf that will be thy bond to us, and when thou hast completed thy final duty after that, thy wish will be granted. Elbaf will be welcomed among the world government's member nations. Even after all that, he doesn't have like a single hint of reservation that maybe this ain't a great idea. It's not until Emu tries taking over his body that he realizes, oh, you guys never had any intention. He's denying that things will continue to be the way they were before joining the world government. In his eyes, by joining the world government, and this emoji on the bottom of chat here off to the side, that's the reason why I'm working on getting like dual screens. He's denying that things will continue to be the way they were before joining the world government. In his eyes, by joining the world government and the God Knights, he is showing not only are they not a threat, but they're a part. They're a part of the world government. But here's the thing. Yes, he's doing that, but he's also doing that with the guarantee that Elbaf will be welcomed as a nation and treated as equals. Yeah, part of the of the world. Gotcha. But he's doing this not because it'll make his nation look good in the eyes of the people, but also because that the world will finally start to treat them as equals and not be scared of them, and that they can be welcomed amongst all the members. He's not thinking of like how people could be even racist to giants. Not thinking of the evils that, like you said before, the evils that humanity could produce. Not thinking of its potential dangers of it. That's the thing. But he's just thinking of the potential good parts of it. And this is just me. I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong, but I just feel he is still naive, because despite the fact that he's traveled all over the world, he's never encountered an instance where the world government has treated people poorly. Has he only gone to nations that are affiliated with the world government? Has he not seen how the impoverished and unaffiliated are treated? But he's denying the fact that that would continue to not be the case based on this emoji is getting on my nerves. I can't see some of what you're saying. Based on what he's already seen of how they will act with the people, humans, humans that are already a part of the world government. He's clearly seen it. Okay, so with that being said, why would he think it's a good idea despite everything he's seen? He thinks that he'll be able to change something from the inside? Or maybe things could be better. Maybe think the perspective would be better if he's affiliated with the world government. Maybe he could introduce change. Maybe he could be a peaceful king with absolutely no strings attached. And this is just my way of thinking. So you're perfectly fine with the way you're thinking on this. Because he's in denial. Yeah, he thinks he can change. Yeah, he thinks he can change things for the better. And unfortunately, this is the chapter where he finds out that he never had any control, never had any say, never had a chance of bringing about the meaningful change that he wanted to. Because, and this is what I find so interesting, because you learn so much about the covenants. Not to the utmost, but you learn so much about the covenants. With the shallows, it's like bare minimum. With the depths, immortality and boundless strength. And then you have the abyss covenants, which is pretty much the top tier. And we don't know the fullest extent of it. That's what I find crazy. You get immortality at the second tier. What does the third tier give you? Because second tier already allows you to create an abyss gate. I know we're going off of Harald a little bit. I still think he's naive in thinking that things will be fine. But yes, you are also right in his denial that things will stay the way that they are. Because he doesn't know the depths of the world government at all. Not the heights, but the depths. That's always a word that stuck out to me. When Workiri was speaking to Harald, saying like, should you continue to be of use to us, you shall learn the true depths of the world. Not the heights of the world. When people say heights of the world, those types of words insinuate like, oh, there's just no limit to how high you can go up in the world and just how bright things could possibly be. Most of the time when you think heights of the world, sometimes, in certain sentences, in certain instances, you think positively when you think of the heights of the world. The heights, the highest heights of power, the highest heights of goodness, the highest heights of happiness. You don't think of the depths of happiness, the depths of prosperity. That depths and meaningful positive words normally don't go to each other. So that word always stuck out to me, the depths of the world. So I'm circling back to this. I am so interested in finding out the fullest extent of Imu's powers and how the Abyss covenants and these different covenants are all linked to Imu. Because can we just talk about this? If this is indeed a devil fruit power, if this is indeed a devil fruit power, then this may be one of the most diverse devil fruit powers we have ever seen. If it isn't, that brings even more questions as to what this power is if it isn't a devil fruit. Because we've seen Imu use this power to shapeshift their own bodies, change into different things, literally consume Sabo's fire, use it as a means to attack, like basically use a shadow to attack people, even in the process injure Logia, which should have allowed the attack to pass through Sabo's body, but he still got skewered anyway, despite the fact that he was a Logia. So there's something else going on there that made it so that not even a Logia could escape from Imu's powers. So there's that. Also, capable of bestowing straight up immortality to people. And also give people strengths. Based on how I've seen stories, heights and depths are never good, bad in perception. It might just be my perception because I need to learn how to properly use such words and sentences and their meanings, so that might have just been my misinterpretation. Um, are never good in perceptions. Heights is what I've seen as something unattainable or difficult to ever obtain. Depths are hidden, protected treasure, but it's being said by people who rule the world and are basically just straight up evil. But so I'm just really interested in how the depths of the world have a part to play in the story of One Piece because I want to know the true depths of the world. How deep does the world go? It's like playing Dark Souls 2. Allow me to introduce you into a newer, deeper dark. It's something like that. Alice in Wonderland, Tears of the Kingdom, The Matrix, Tears of the Kingdom, you are certainly not wrong. Sure, we have the heights of the Sky Islands, but we also have the depths themselves, which is like a dark replica of Hyrule, just shrouded in darkness. But getting back to Emu and the depths itself, I am so interested in seeing whether or not this is truly a devil fruit power or something even beyond that. Because this power allows Emu to basically shapeshift their own body in any way that they choose, and it's capable of injuring Logias just easily, capable of giving people immortality, capable of communicating to people telepathically, even across the seas, such as how Emu was able to speak to Saturn as they ripped the life from his very bones, capable of giving even someone as feeble looking as Saturn incredible strength, being able to just casually knock away Kuma as if it were nothing. Also, family's calling again. Give me a sec. We're still going to talk about the depths. Give me a sec. Got to put the mustard out. I am back again. Sorry. Let me see. To me, that just sounds like the truth of the world. The real mysteries, whatever you thought was the secrets of the world, are but the tip of the iceberg. That is the true depths of the world, not specifically something dark. Maybe it's just me. I just instinctively think it's something evil and dark because the people who know the truth of the world are literal demons. So that's something I kind of just defaulted to the entire time. That's just me. But I'm really interested in learning just how vast Emu's powers are, and if it's linked to the depths of the world, or if it's something that if it's something that the Gorosei and Emu publicly, well, not publicly, but pretty much use as a way to describe the world itself, because that's what they are so used to. That's just my thinking. I could be completely wrong. But yeah, with this chapter, yeah, on this day there was a terrible massacre inside the castle, and the most beloved ruler in the history of Elbaf, wise King Harald, perished. So that was 1168. Onwards to 1169, which was a great chapter, by the way. My death cannot come soon enough. We have Shanks talking to Gavin at his house, saying like Captain Roger had a son, and Gavin says apparently so. That's what Garp told me, at least. I'm amazed that he survived the Navy search then. So here's something important. Garp talked to Gavin. Garp talked to Gavin. You'd think he would probably not be in talks with anyone else from the Roger Pirates, but it turns out that Gavin also knew of Ace. So that's quite interesting. But Shanks is talking to him, going, well, in that case, I guess he's like a little brother to me. You're not wrong about that. You and Buggy were our sons. If he's got Captain Rogers' blood, then I guess he'll be the next generation's king of the pirates. Shanks! Not specifically sometime in a small group of people. Yeah, not too many people. Garp didn't tell too many people. I mean, Garp told Dadan. Only seldom number of people knew that Roger had a son. Thankfully, Garp isn't a big mouth. But then again, he is the same person that's let it slip that Luffy's father was Dragon just nonchalantly in a conversation during the ending of Water 7, so there's that. Oh, let's talk about something completely different. Oh, gotcha. Sorry, my bad. But they're talking, saying Ace could be the next king of the next generation's king of pirates, king of the pirates. And Gavin says, and mind you, this is when Gavin's hair started to go from straight black to being, white, starting to gray up top with black down on the sides. Hey, it ain't a hereditary position. Sometimes those with the greatest expectations placed on them fail to achieve that greatness. You think so? It's what makes life so fun and unpredictable, and then they're just, palling around. Then we get back to Aurus Castle, where Loki and Jarl show up. This is just the outside view of before when the flashback starts. And then we get Harald, who is inside of his throne room. Ah, gotcha. You're fine. You're good, Flip. You're good, Flip. Also, how's your day been? I always tend to ask that about people. I hope your day has been good. Outside of the royal chamber, there's a scream inside because Harald has essentially killed one of his own guards. But it's not Harald who's in control of his body, it's Emu controlling him. Why did I cut down my guard like that? It was like my body moved on its own. Was it to fulfill Emu's orders, to eliminate those who would stop me? And then he remembers when Emu said, form an army of warriors. Am I incapable of fighting back? Can those orders even alter my very thoughts? And it shows like the covenant itself. It's been good. Happy New Year, by the way. Awesome. It's only like 1:45 p.m. on the 31st, so we still have some hours before we enter into 2026. Can you believe that? This year flew on by. So many great movies, so many great games, so many great animes, some not so great. But I think this was a very good year. I enjoyed it. I had fun. But can those orders even alter my very thoughts for the rest of my life? For as long as I continue to live, my presence will only make this country worse. My body is a blight upon its safety. It was a waste. It was all for nothing. 144 years of life down the drain. Thinking about when he was proclaiming that this nation will be affiliated with other nations. We can be a nation of peace. Him having Saul create a school, the Walrus School. Oh, wow, I just realized you're reading chapters right now. I thought this was discussion of everything through the year. My bad. You're fine. You're fine. I do this every month. I've never done a year review of One Piece before. I've never done that because I feel like that would be a massive undertaking going through every single chapter we got throughout the year. But at the end of every month, I go through all the chapters that we get with every month. And then, of course, there's discussions afterwards. And also, I could give my yearly thoughts on the chapters of One Piece that we got as a whole. So that could be something I add on to this. But yeah, I always bring up the chapters because I tried doing it without having the chapters in front of me, trying to do like a paraphrase. It did not turn out well. So I just always have the chapters in front of me so that I can have that knowledge in front of my eyes because I am no teching. I cannot remember every single thing that happens within every single chapter within a month with minute detail and have that Arturo Vohada type knowledge. I don't. I just don't. But he's just thinking back when he ripped his horns off in front of everyone in Marineford, the Walrus School being built with the kids, and then his big speech to everyone in Elbaf. My death cannot come soon enough. And while he still has control over his mouth, he says, quickly, kill me! I refuse to let Elbaf be enslaved. Hurry before it's all taken over. And while he's doing that and his guards are trying to, restrain him, his body is moving on its own, slashing and killing more of his guards. And then it gets Loki, who walks in going, hey, Pop, I'm back. And he sees all of the guards. Now, I remembered incorrectly this very image of Harald being skewered by his men. At the time, we had no idea that this did absolutely nothing. For a while, until we got like the previous chapter and this chapter, where I thought he was being killed by his own men. It wasn't until we learned about the covenants and how they can grant immortality. And after learning Harald gain an immortal body, that this wasn't even Harald being killed. He was just being impaled. But since he was immortal, it did absolutely nothing. And all Jarl and Loki can see is Harald being skewered. How can this be? I truly am immortal. I can feel my body recovering. Stop it. Run for your lives, men. And at this point, Harald isn't saying too much right now, because his body is already regenerating, but his body also continues to move on its own, and he just slashes through all of the men that were encircling him. What can I do to die? Someone help me. And both Loki and Jarl are just looking in bewilderment. And then we get back with Shanks and Gavin. So basically, Harald and I have signed the shallowest of the covenants with this great one in Marijua. Even with just the Shallows covenant, we can't resist as long as we're within that freak's range. So, one thing we can say about the covenants is that the Shallows you are still susceptible to the rules and orders of Emu, but only if you're within range of Emu, such as Marijua. If you leave, you're fine. But when you get the Depths Covenant, Emu can gain control of you and issue orders to you wherever you are, regardless of where you are in the world. And then the Depths, we still don't know what extra perks come with that. That's the thing, we still don't know. Because telepathy, immortality, and boundless strength is literally on the second tier. We don't know what extra stuff comes with the highest tier. That's kind of scary when you think about it. What we've been seeing from most people has just been either the Depths Covenant. It might have been just the Depths Covenant this whole time. Because the Depths Covenant has given us all of the little perks that we've seen the rest of the Holy Knights have this entire time. Immortality, boundless strength, they can create abyss circles, and they can communicate telepathically with Emu. That's the same thing that Harald has. We've seen that same thing with Somers. We've seen that same thing with, basically just Somers, because Rimu Shifu hasn't been injured in any way. Still got to deal with that Joker. I wonder if the Depths Covenant allows Emu to basically transform your body entirely. Because with the not the Depths Covenant, the Abyss Covenant allows Emu to basically take control of your body. Take control of your body and transform it and manipulate it to a greater degree that we saw with Gunko in the present day. But the Depths Covenant is essentially the one that allows Emu to basically direct your body, but not take control as we've seen with Saturn during the events of the God Valley incident, or Gunko currently in the present time. I feel like with that, Emu is essentially puppeting your entire body, just possessing your body completely. Not directing it, but possessing it as if it's an extension of themselves. Chaos Creations, it's good to see you. Hi, hello. We're talking about the last chapter we got in December for One Piece. I'll say my spill, and then I'll be done for today, because I got a Philly steak on the way. But I do love that we're learning. So here's my thing. I love learning about the powers of different characters in animes and comics and different stuff because I could read that stuff for hours. Literally read that stuff for hours. The more I learn about these covenants and what they can do, the more I'm invested in finding out just the fullest extent of Emu's power and just what it is. Is it a devil fruit or is it some esoteric power that is beyond that lies outside of devil fruits? I'm so curious. I can't wait to learn eventually. But Harold and I have signed the shallowest of the covenants with this great one in Marie-Joie. And I know people say Mary Joyce or Mary Joa, but for me, it's Marie-Joie. Sacred Marie-Joie. Because it reminds me of how you would say bourgeois. But Marie-Joie. Even with just this shallow's covenant, we can't resist as long as we're within that freak's range. What an odd power. So once we were out of the Holy Land, we finally had the chance to talk openly. I knew it, you are from the Red Hair Pirates, because Harold was behaving kinda strangely around Shanks when Shanks showed up the first time, and he was wondering where he saw Shanks from before. Also, during this time, Shanks already has the scar going over his eyes. Harold was delighted about the deal he'd made to get Elbaf added to the government once he was in the Knights of God. But to do that, he has to sign the next level of this covenant. Is that bad or something? And Colin and Ripley are in the background just chilling while Ripley has made like this gigantic pie that looks incredibly good right now. I need pie. I want apple pie. I want apple pie. Either that or get a chocolate marble cheesecake, either one of the two. Through the covenant, the Holy Knights of God gain superhuman strength and an undying body. So automatically, these characters can't be playable in Pirate Warriors because they're essentially immortal and they can't be killed. And you can't have a character who can't be killed in a Muso game. So I don't see them being at it. Superhuman strength and an undying body, as well as the ability to generate an abyss, a means of traveling long distances. But in exchange, no matter where you are, you cannot defy the orders of the Great One, whose voice will reach you at any range. So if he agrees to the covenant, Harold will be forced to do whatever those people say. Knowing how greedy they are, I can't imagine they would keep their word and give him what they promised. I don't think Harold should join the... And then, all of a sudden, there's this slight buzzing, and then we get this big, gigantic showcase of conquerors that... Back again. So we get this massive burst of conquerors that emanates from the castle as it shows Loki fighting with Harold, with Loki wondering just what in the world is going on with his father. Hang on a sec, Dad. What am I supposed to react to first? The fact that you hadn't died with all those wounds, or the fact that you're trying to kill me and the castle guards? Where's this monster's strength coming from? What happened to you, Harold? Come back to your senses. Guards, to the royal chamber. Help stop the king. He's been taken by madness. Are they fighting? Hurry, it must be that darn Loki. Save the king! Explain yourself, Harold, as both Loki and Jarl slam Harold into a pillar. And I feel like for a brief moment, this knock on the noggin allows him to essentially gain control of his ability to speak. Either he's always had that and he hasn't, or either that, or he hasn't he just chose not to say anything this entire time. Chief Jarl, I've made a terrible mistake. Very soon I truly will lose my mind. Listen, Loki, do as I say. I want you to tell the people of Elbaf exactly what happened here. That I killed my own guards. That I used joining the world government as an excuse to do their dirty bidding. Ultimately, they lied to me, and look at me now. I am about to hand over the people of Elbaf to the government to be their slaves in battle. And Loki's all like, huh? What do you mean? They tricked you? They never had any intention of honoring my request. Chief Jarl, feed the treasure of Elbaf to Loki. What? With the power of God, I will be unstoppable. Elbaf being enslaved by the government is the very antithesis of my dream. That makes me the worst king in the history of Elbaf. So you must kill me to take the throne, Loki. Tell the people what a fool of a king I was. Kill me and be a hero. Once I'm dead, my reputation means nothing to me. All that matters is Elbaf's future. Am I wrong? And Harald says this with tears in his eyes, knowing that the only way to fully stop him is to have Loki take part in it. And also realizing that his dream can't be fully realized for Elbaf to be a part of the world government and live peacefully as long as he lives. Because Emu's just going to keep controlling him until they get what they want. You'd really do all this for... Please, Loki, you're the only one who can do it. And there's a scream as Harald no longer has control of his body. Any thoughts he had that belonged to him are now gone. Because all we have is Harald. All we have left is Harald. I know I keep getting up, but I'll head back down. Food just arrived. We're very busy. This is the last day of the year, so we're trying to get everything taken care of. There's a lot going on. But Harold has completely lost control of his body. The king, the peaceful king that we come to know over the course of this entire flashback, is now gone, completely subsumed by following the orders of Emu, as he continues to slash through all of his guards. And they're trying to... And Harold takes the opportunity of going, there are criminals within the castle. Seal the front gate, as a means of making it so that no one who's inside of the castle can get out and say what's going on. Basically sealing everyone inside so they can die inside so that no one can ever know what truly went on. So the guards, not knowing what's truly going on, they lock the front gate and seal it, while Harold is constantly being, stabbed and impaled by his own men. One of them goes, "You killed them all! You're not the real King Harold!" and stabs Harold through the throat. Harold then forcibly grabs the man. Mind you, remember, Harold is an ancient giant. He has got the ancient giant blood in him. He grabs the man by the waist and then forcibly pulls him through his neck, like basically pulling him off of his back and then through his neck while the spear is still in his neck, slicing through it as he pulls the guy in front of him, and then his neck just cracks as he then starts to regenerate and proceeds to take that same man and throw him away into other guards, saying, "No one shall escape to tell the tale of what happened here." And when that continues, it shows Loki trying to... It shows one of these guards saying, "Run," before his head gets forcibly curb stomped by Harold, going, "I will give this country over to Emu." And it has Jarl, who's fighting as well, telling Loki, "Hurry, Loki!" And Loki's running, going, "Why do I have to eat some devil fruit? Then I won't be able to swim anymore. What got into him? He's like a totally different person." And then Harold, under full control of Emu, goes, "Don't you dare eat it, Loki. That fruit belongs to me." And then Loki's all like, "You just told me to eat it!" "If you eat that fruit, it will be the end of the world, Harold." And Jarl stabs Harold through the back, using his sword. "Do it, Loki. Make sure Harold doesn't get that fruit." And then Harold takes the sword that apparently Chief Jarl gave him, and then proceeds to throw it straight through his head. And that is the sword that now rests in Chief Jarl's head as of right now. "You gave me that blade years ago, Jarl. Now you can have it back." And one thing to take note of is that Harold's entire speech patterns have been overly boldened, akin to that of whenever Emu speaks, only lacking Emu's speech patterns. But this just signifies that Harold has been completely taken over by his speech bubble looking this way. "You gave me that blade years ago, Jarl. Now you can have it back. I'll eat that fruit and take Ragnir for myself." And Ragnir is the name of the hammer that Loki now wields. "You cannot have it," as Harold chases after Loki. And then it shows two people, being Shanks and Gavin, who slash through Harold. All of a sudden, they just showed up. They just blitzed him. All of a sudden. "It's Gavin." And then Harold falls over and he's in pain. "Jarl, what happened to you?" "The helmet saved my life. Please stop Harold. Don't let him go after Loki." And it shows that the only person that can hold back Harold from chasing after Loki so that Loki can get the devil fruit is none other than Shanks and Scopper Gavin himself. "Based on what you said, it looks like the worst case scenario has come to pass. Harold, look around you. Come to your senses." "Ah, Shanks. This undying body is a wonderful thing. I feel superior to all other life." And then Harold gets back up, cracking his neck again, and starting to regenerate from the blows he suffered from Gavin and Shanks. "Is there any way to break the control over him?" And then a lock gets undone, and it's Loki who gets into the room that has the sacred devil fruit. And in the background, we have Ragnir, but Ragnir is also moving. "This is the storied relic of Elbaf, the forbidden devil fruit." "Huh?" And then all of a sudden, Ragnir itself moves and tries to swing at Loki. This hammer is autonomous. It is capable of moving for itself. Whoa, who did that? And that is the end of all the chapters that we got of One Piece in the year 2025. Officially, that is. And mind you, the flashback that deals with Loki, Harald, and Jarl and what led to the death of Harald, which also includes Shanks and Gavin, it's still not over yet. We haven't gotten to the point where we see Loki eat this forbidden and legendary, which is the only devil fruit in One Piece that has been described as legendary. We haven't seen that moment yet. It would be interesting if that's the chapter we get for 2026, like the first chapter we get for Sunday. But where we stand right now is we're witnessing the moments that lead to Harold's death, and therefore will also probably lead to Loki, I guess, getting away from Elbaf, then being brought down by Shanks later on, and then being imprisoned in the underworld until present day, where things are currently going on right now. The only loose end that we have to tie up right now concerning this flashback is seeing how exactly Harald dies, and it should be an interesting thing to witness due to the fact that this Harald during this time is currently immortal and can't actually die by conventional means. Which makes me wonder, how do you kill someone who is immortal? How does that even happen? Because knowing that Harold's body is immortal, it also begs the question of how he dies in the first place. And the thing is, if we see how Harald dies while he's immortal, that can paint a picture of how the rest of the immortals can die as well. That's what brings to my mind. But that is currently the world of One Piece that we currently live in. And here I thought that the world of One Piece couldn't possibly get any crazier. But it has indeed. It's become even crazier than I could have possibly imagined. And now we're about to enter into 2026, and we haven't even begun to see how crazy things for One Piece are about to get. Because once we get back to the present day, that last chain for Loki is undone, and we finally have the rest of the Straw Hat crew move upwards to the Sun World to deal with Emu taking over Gunko, having all the rest of the Straw Hats captive, the Owl Library currently being on fire, the giant children being led away by Emu, and the fact that Dory and Bragi have been turned into full-on demons now. There's just so much that needs to be addressed in 2026 that I cannot wait to see. But overall, on top of all the chapters that we got in December, I want to say that the chapters we got throughout this entirety of the year have been absolutely great chapters. Now, some of them I want to say were probably less than just absolute flat out peak, but that has not detracted from the overall feel of this arc, where we got pretty much Rox and his history and his relationship to Blackbeard, and not only that, but finding out just how powerful of a man he was even back during then, and then him getting Domi reversied, and then Roger and Garp combining their strengths together in order to bring down Rox, finding out that Conqueror's Haki has a critical mass state, where if you use Conqueror's Haki at its most critical, it is capable of bringing down even people who are considered immortal and also exponentially more powerful by way of the Domi Reversi as well. This opens up so many brand new possibilities for Conqueror's Haki users in the future. There's so much going on in One Piece, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like it's overly too much going on. And I have to say that I have enjoyed so much One Piece this year that I cannot wait to see what the future of 2026 holds for us for One Piece going forward. Sorry for me stepping away multiple times. Family needed me. Family phone calls and whatnot, because it's a very busy day for us because we're preparing for later this evening, but we also got some other things we got to take care of as well. So apologies for that. I hope I was coherent enough for you guys to enjoy my interpretations of how things were going on, and also this friendly discussions that we've had, and even debates as well. I enjoy those too. That's what makes the One Piece community so great. Not everyone's not in an echo chamber of One Piece is the greatest thing to ever exist. It's awesome, but it can also deal with some improvements here and there. I'm not going to pretend like One Piece is the greatest manga to ever exist. because it does have its flaws here and there. It does have moments where it falters, but I'm just glad to be in a community that deals with this series that can enjoy both its highs and lows and still look forward to the next chapter that we get. So in 2026, I cannot wait to enjoy more One Piece with all of you. I cannot wait. I'm going to go ahead and call it a session here, though, however, because I got food here that needs to be eaten now while it's still piping, steaming hot, because crinkle fries do not taste good when they're lukewarm or less than hot. But to everyone, to Chaos Creations, to... Where you at? To Graham Talk, to Mohitsoni, everyone who showed up, Flipdo as well, everyone who showed up, I just want to say it is an immense honor and privilege to be your entertainer. And to everyone else, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Even check out the Patreon, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. And because I know you're coming back anyway. Have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, especially if this is the last time I see you, I'll see you guys next year. Later, peoples!